Good morning, everybody. You're tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Steve.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, and Nick is here.
Hello.
And Jorvik is here.
Hello.
And our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And this morning's show is being brought to you by Telestream Wirecast Software and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. What a week.
Take two is so much better. Yes, what a week.
The thing that actually dominated everything in my book is, again, Equifax. And more details are coming out. It makes you really matter at how companies are handling your private information, your personal information. It's just ridiculous. Don't get your signals from them. If you want your kids to make it big in the financial world, they may be able to make it if they went for music major. And for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, Susan Molden, the person in charge of the Equifax data security, has a bachelor degree and a Master of Fine Arts degree in music composition from the University of Georgia, according to her LinkedIn profile. Molden LinkedIn profile lists no education related to technology or security. Now, on Friday, her page was made private, and her last name was replaced with an M in a move that appears to keep her education background secret. How long can you hide things like that? And then she quit also. Or, as they said, she retired. And it turns out that there are some people also in Britain that got exposed, that the information got exposed. What do you guys hear about it over there, Steve?
Yeah, it's not Mike? As bad. It's not as bad as they thought.
Yeah.
It's only it's thousands, but it's not tens of thousands like was predicted, luckily. Well,
the article I'm reading says that they said fewer than 400,000. Where did when I see something like this, I say, yeah, it's 399,999. What is fewer and where did the 400,000 come from?
There's various advice articles that are saying, have you been compromised and all this sort of thing. And they're still insisting that Equifax contacts people that have been compromised as soon as possible. But it was covered last week. Nick was talking about it. Whether or not they will is another thing.
Yep. More and more people are retiring from the company.
And I bet they're retiring with big bonuses as well.
Yeah. Probably.
Well, they go hand in hand, don't they?
Because big companies seem to reward the people that do the worst job and cause the most problems, get the biggest bonuses. It's ridiculous.
It is, and we're not talking about a 4 or 5 digit bonus here, probably.
No, we're not. Very large sums of money.
Tish, I'm doing the Facebook thing, so don't worry. But
it doesn't surprise me that a company of that size wouldn't have somebody technically competent in charge. I don't think there's many technically competent people actually at the driving wheel of most of these companies these days. It's all pen pushers.
Nick, what information you have that we didn't talk about as far as Equifax?
Currently not at the system.
Oh.
He's AFK, or away from keyboard, if you don't know what that means, listener.
He's filing his summons to Equifax at the moment.
All right, so Facebook should be up, Tish. Yep. Let's see. So yeah, they said the article about the British stories. Data about British people may potentially have been accessed during the data breach. May have been. Credit data breach of the U.S. credit rating from Equifax. The UK arm of the organization said files containing information on fewer than 400,000 UK consumers was accessed in the breach. In the statement, the UK office of Equifax said an internal investigation has shown that data on UK consumers was accessed during the hack. It said data on Britons, how do you pronounce this? British.
Britain.
Britons?
Just
Britain.
Just Britain, yeah.
Was being held in the U.S. due to a process failure, which meant that a limited amount of information was stored in North America between 2011 and 2016. The information held included names, date of birth, email addresses, and telephone numbers. No addresses, password, or financial data was involved. How is it that the British people don't need to worry about all these real bad stuff, and what they have is stuff that you can find on the internet anyway? But American consumers, yeah.
Probably because our data protection laws are very, very vigorous. In fact, there's quite a few companies have pulled out from American companies that hold data. There's been quite a lot of press over here about our data being held in America for various reasons. And there's been a bit of a stink created in the past. So it's all being sort of checked and pulled back so that it's not in America.
What is the equivalent of our social security number in over there?
National insurance number.
Say it again.
National insurance number. Everybody that works has a national insurance number. But if you haven't worked, then you don't get a national insurance number.
But see, here's the underlying problem, Amnon.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's probably different in Britain than it is here. If I go to the bank and borrow $100,000 as you're held liable for that because it's just a screwed up system. Doesn't matter if you didn't. You have to prove that you didn't borrow $100,000. It's the bank that should be liable for that because they do such a. I mean, who cares? I mean, I could publish my social security number right now. There's a whole bunch of people that have it. Every job I've ever signed up, every job I've ever applied for, whole bunch of online services. PayPal has it. I mean, what the hell's the difference now? I mean, and there's probably 50, 100 people that have your social security number.
Yeah. Oh, I don't doubt it.
So
now there's probably thousands.
System. Yeah, but it's a screwed up system.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just because if I go to the bank and borrow $100,000 as you are liable because it's just a messed up system.
It is a messed up system, and unfortunately, nobody wants to redo it. It's. I mean, they can redo it. They can. And really, it came and gone so many times. Why do you have to use my social security number? Why can't we have another number, another ID that has nothing to do with financial that will identify you? Because all they're doing is being lazy.
Driver's license number.
The what? Driver's license number.
License
Yeah.
number.
I mean, there's so many things that can be used. But no, they want to use the social security number.
Probably the most populated, isn't it?
Well, no, you know what it is?
The driving license. So.
You know what it is? It's the easiest thing to use because they can just pull it from the database. They don't have to do any work. They don't have to actually they don't have to. I mean, they don't have to know you. I mean, I could apply for a loan on my phone for a house by just putting in my social security number. I mean, that's a huge problem.
Yep.
I don't think we have to put national insurance. If you're applying for data or anything like that, we don't have to use the national insurance number. It's done on address, proof of identity, which is usually a passport or a driving license.
Well, no, I mean, to apply for a loan, I see why they need to know kind of who you are, and they want to see if you are worthy of loaning money to. They want to make sure that you have a job, that you make money, that you I mean, there is a good reason for having this kind of data for banks and things like that, but it needs to be guarded like you would guard your kids.
But it's too late to do that now.
Yeah, it's too late at this point. Yeah,
but even before Equifax, it was too late.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I've probably got my social security number on 10 or 15 different services because they ask for it. And what are you going to do? Not use the service because they ask for your social security number?
Right. I mean, I think
DraftKings, which is a freaking fantasy gambling site, has my social security number because they require it to play. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Doctor offices require it. Why?
Yeah.
You know.
Well, over here, you've got a medical number. I mean, you've got numbers for everything over here. Driving license number, national insurance number is the thing that generally you only need to give when it's to do with taxes.
Right.
Yeah, but the national health number does refer back to your national insurance as well.
It does, but generally, if you want something to do with your health, you quote your national health number.
That's right. That's once you've had anything wrong with you, then immediately you're on the database with the national health number. Yeah.
But the national insurance number is, I mean, it's used for tax purposes. That's it. Nothing else, really.
That's what Social Security numbers should be used for. That's just for taxes.
Yeah.
But it's like Nick said, it is too late because it's been going on for years and years. Yeah. So for those of you that want to find out if you were compromised or not, first they set up a site, the Equifax Security something.com, and they said that you can go there and you can send them a message, and they'll tell you. But by doing so, you give up your right for a class action suit. they got such a backlash because of that. They rescinded that and said, okay, yeah, you can still be part of a class action suit.
Class action.
I don't buy that for 1 second.
And at this point, by the way, there is a bot that you can use that you can sue Equifax for up to $25,000. I don't think I kept that, but you can Google on it. But then people wanted to, and I was told to do it, to put a security freeze on all three, which we all should have done that long time ago. And you can go to each one, to Experian, to TransUnion, and Equifax, and put a freeze on your credit, which means that when somebody comes in and asks, like if you went to buy a car and they're trying to find out your information, they cannot, I think that, no, you cannot ask for a new credit card, or you cannot get a loan for the car. They may be able to find your information, but not if you were going to get a loan through them, they're not going to be able to do it because they will refuse them. And it got so bad. Marshall was telling me he was trying for 4 days to get on Equifax, and it kept telling him that it's not available now. Try later. Apparently, I mean, I did it, and yeah, Equifax was the hardest one to do. But apparently, more and more people learned about this and are doing it today, and they did not make any arrangements to accommodate that flow of people that are trying to do this. They did not do anything that would help the consumer. I think what they are into right now is, how do we get away with it? I sure hope they're not going to get away with it. I sure hope
they will.
That they're going to get it really good. It is just appalling to think about the situation where a company like Equifax spent in 2015 $1.2 million, and in 16 $1.7 million, and in 17 already over $500,000 to lobby Congress to lower the expectations, the regulations, they wanted to be less strict. They wanted to make sure that they're not going to be able to get sued. It's not just for them. It's for all three or whoever else is there. Millions of dollars were spent by Equifax to lobby Congress. Just imagine how nice it would be if they spend that money on tightening the system, hiring somebody who knew something about security, and pay them good money to make sure that the priorities are all screwed up there.
Well,
maybe
to be
not.
honest, 10% of that would have been more than enough to tighten up security.
True. And the problem, the main problem with the security breach is something that could have been easily fixed if there was somebody who knew something about security. Apparently, in March, they found out that there is a vulnerability in their Apache server. And the Apache Foundation released a patch. All they had to do is apply the patch. But they didn't. It's sort of like Windows updates, and you don't apply it. And then something happens because of that. They did not apply it until they found out in July that those people were getting the information. This did not happen overnight. The system has been compromised for months. All they had to do is just update their software. But they didn't. I don't know what that Susan Molden was doing at the time. Playing the flute? Well, what? But it's really, really, really bad. So anyway, Credit Karma. That commercials you see all the time, is launching a new free service that will alert customers if their identity data has been compromised in hacks. And they said on Friday, in a wake of the massive breach at credit monitoring Equifax, the new ID monitoring service is being tested and will be available in October. Similar to services provided by Symantec-owned LifeLock. Only LifeLock costs over $100 a year. Credit Karma will keep track of data breaches and tell customers if they are ones of the victims. Customer can then check to use the company's credit monitoring service and flag suspicious activities. The company said it was accelerating the launch of the new service in response to the large data breach at Equifax. So they are one of these companies that give you quote-unquote free information about your score, your credit score. And I don't know that this is a great idea that everybody can go in and find out their score just like that on the phone. But these are the days now that everybody's doing it. But here, it's nice that they're doing it. Another thing that didn't make sense in one of those articles that I was reading said about placing security freeze had something to do with the fact that you have to pay $10 to do that on any of the three companies, TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. And then I thought, well, nobody asked me for money when I did it. There was nothing there about charging. And I went again last night and looked around, and there's nowhere do they ask you for money for doing this. The only one that said something about it was Equifax. There was an article about them that said that they are waiving their fee for people who want to place a security freeze on their accounts. But I don't know, maybe I'll get an invoice from somebody, or maybe they'll take it out of something. I don't know. But so far, nobody asked. And Gene is saying, LifeLock did a good job in handling this one. And John is saying credit freeze is free for North Carolina residents. Oh, I see. So maybe that's why they didn't ask me. Interesting. It's something that you always think about doing, especially as you're getting older and you don't require as much credit. It's a good thing to put a freeze on your account, and then you can decide, okay, yeah, let this, but don't let that. And finally, I mean, it took that thing in order to get me to do it. But it's good. It's it makes you feel better. Whether or not it does anything, I mean, obviously at this point, if it was compromised, you there's not much you can do other than hope that they don't find ways. I mean, if I finally start getting another mortgage notice, you know that something happened. And somebody was saying yesterday, oh, it was Brian, Nick, right? That
Yeah.
his wife was getting all kind of applications for credit card against on her name, and they never did it. But not just now. It must have been happening for a while. And this is you just need to be aware. And if anything unusual happens with your credit, first get with your bank and see what they recommend. We can report what we read, but this is not a financial services grade information here. 919-518-9773. Computers 2K voice on Skype. Call in. Tell us what you think about all this.
Well, Amnon, we have big tech news.
Okay.
Oh, we got. Do you have the new iPhones as a story?
I not much about it. You go ahead.
So, Apple has announced new devices. I'm going to pull up their website to get the actual specs on them. They had their big event this week, and they announced essentially two new phones: the iPhone 8 and the iPhone X. The iPhone 8 is a marginal upgrade to the iPhone 7. Same screen size, same stuff, just a little bit better processor. I think the camera's a little bit better, but that's just your typical marginal upgrade from one device to the other. The one thing it does introduce when it's available is it's got a glass back now, and that glass back enables wireless charging. It's supposed to be coming out within the next couple of months. So that'll be really cool. So that's the first device that's available in the plus size and the regular size. And then we had the essentially the 10th anniversary of the iPhone, and that's the iPhone X, or the iPhone 10. And this is a totally new device here. Let's see if I can share my screen. This is a totally different device, like something like Apple has never really done before. And you can see it's got no home button. It's almost completely bezel-less, and it's an interesting device for Apple. It doesn't really look like something they typically release. It's all screen. The way that you unlock the phone is it's what they're calling now Face ID. So instead of using the Thumb ID, which came out with the iPhone 6, with the iPhone 5, you have to look at your phone to unlock it. There's a larger lock button on the side now that also does some features of the home button. And it's an interesting device for Apple. It doesn't look like anything they've ever done before. It looks like a Samsung phone, because Samsung typically does these kind of weird designs with this weird layout. You can see the clock and the battery and cell phone things are kind of stored up, notched up in the upper left and right hand corners of the screen. It's an interesting looking device. Obviously, the big thing with this is the Face ID, just looking at your phone to unlock it. I've got some questions about that, but this is the new iPhone. I think Apple. People like to poo-poo on Apple, including myself. But when it comes to the cell phone market, they make the best phones hand down. There's no competition. Everybody else's phones are garbage. So the new iPhone, it is available to pre-order. I don't remember exactly what the date is. You can pre-order it next month, the 27th. So you can pre-order it October 27th, and it is available November 3rd. And then the iPhone 8 is available within the next couple of weeks. So that's Apple's new event.
Well, I mean, I don't know if all the rest of them are garbage.
Oh, they are. I mean, they're just not good phones.
But, well, then I'm using a piece of garbage, but it's working.
Yeah, but you don't really use your phone. So I mean, it's just a bad example. I've tried them all.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had multiple Android phones. I've had multiple iPhones, and it's just nothing compares. Apple kicks everybody's butt when it comes to phones. It's not even comparable.
Yeah, they definitely have a great piece of hardware.
Well, it's not,
I don't know.
I don't know that it's operating.
I don't know that it's what?
It's not the hardware. It's the operating system.
Yeah, their operating system.
Experience.
It is. But that's the whole thing with this is you don't deal with the nonsense like you deal with on Android.
Yeah, again, I may not be using it the way that most people use it, but I mean, my Android works for me.
Yeah, but that's like there's things that if you used Android every day, things that you'll notice that it's why is this happening? Why does this do this? That doesn't make any sense. Why is that happening?
Yeah, and Brent is saying, but is it worth $1,000 now?
So this is when I want somebody to call in on this, because clearly most of the people in the audience here have an iPhone. So pick up your phone, call in 919-518-9773, because clearly people have opinions on it. I guess you start looking at marginal cost difference when you look at this. I'm going to be getting a new phone anyway. It's either going to be an iPhone 8 Plus or an iPhone X or 10. The 8 Plus starts at $799. The iPhone 10, which I'd get the base model of both, starts at $999. So you have to just look at the marginal price difference. Are the features of the new phone plus it's got a faster processor worth an extra $200 in the long term? I as of right now, I think yes. I don't think I'm going to like this whole home look to unlock the phone thing, so I may not get the phone for that reason. But I think it's definitely worth $200 more than the 8. It's a completely different phone.
I thought you guys were saying that the $1,000 is the expensive one, the top of the line. You're saying that the 1,000 is the base?
1,000 is the base storage. You can get like 512 gigs of storage on it, and that would probably cost you like $2,000.
So you cannot buy a lower priced 10 than
yes,
$999.
You can. It's $999 is the lowest.
No, that's what I'm saying. Less than $999.
No, that's the base.
That's the entry. Oh, interesting.
Which is good. It's a 32 gigabytes of storage. It seems like a pretty interesting device.
$1,000 for a phone. Oh my goodness!
Yeah, I know.
But if you're going to spend $800, what's the difference? That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, but I wouldn't spend $800. You see, I mean, I've got an iPhone 5S, which I got for £120. In the end, it cost me nothing. But that is a reasonable expense for a phone. I think when I bought the Android, which was I can't even remember what it was now. That was I think £180. That's the kind of price that the average person don't mind spending. But if you're talking of 500 and above, I mean, that's $1,000 for a phone.
Mm-hmm. This is the way I kind of look at it. It doesn't matter what kind of phone you're buying from. It doesn't matter who you're buying it from. The top tier newest phones cost that much. It doesn't seem to matter who's making it. I mean,
you're right. The higher end phones do cost that much, but do we really need that much processor power, that much RAM, and and all the other things that go with the £500.
I know what Nick is saying, and I think that some of us do need that because it's your main.
It has nothing to do with need. I want the new phone. I'm a tech nerd. I want the new phone. I mean, that's just what it comes down to. I want it.
All right, let's see who called in.
It's Tish.
Hey, Tish.
How are you guys?
Fine. How are you?
I'm okay. So I wanted to take Nick up on his, hey, call in, talk about the iPhone. So, yeah, I know people probably will think I'm very goofy about it, but, you know, you want something nice, you're going to pay nice for it. And I'm all set. I've been an iPhone user since its inception and all Apple since almost 2 years ago. So to me, it is what it is. You want something nice, you'll pay nice. You get cheap, it's going to work cheap. And I fully believe in you get what you pay for. So I'm all set.
There you go. I keep going back and forth with the marginal price upgrade between the two phones. People say, oh my God, $1,000. What's 800 or 1,000? I mean, it's just, if you can scrape together those,
when you compare those two, you're right. When you compare the two, 800 to 1,000, it's $200, which is nothing.
Exactly, it's very marginal. If you can scrape together 800, you should be able to scrape together another 200. That's a broad generalization, but you should be able to. Realistically.
I guess my thinking on it is that when I got my iPhone 7 Plus and I turned in my 6S Plus, I got $600 for my 6S Plus, and the guy was really shocked and surprised that the phone was in good condition. But I'm very OCD about my things. If I'm going to put that much money into something, I take really good care about my things. I'm just that OCD. And the guy said, I can't believe it. You really want to get a new phone? I said, yeah. Okay. So, you know, I'm in the exchange phone program that they have. So I didn't feel that it's like Nick's point that he's trying to make it, you know, forking out that extra money is not going to kill me because I see it as a good return. I'm getting $600 for this phone. I basically see it as just having to cough out so much extra out of my pocket that's not going to kill me, as opposed to if I wasn't in the program and I wasn't going to be getting $600. So, you know, either way, I'm set.
Well, so I look at my example with this. I'll be spending $1,000. I'll be spending either $800 or $1,000 out of pocket for this. My current phone, which is a 6 Plus, came out in 27, maybe 2014 or 15. I mean, it's 3 generations old now, going on 4 generations old. I've definitely gotten $1,000 worth of use out of this phone. No doubt about it.
Will you be putting the old phone in towards the cost of the new one, Nick?
No. I keep my old phones because I've had situations in the past where phone breaks or something, or you have to send it back somewhere and you're without a phone. I don't think my phone's worth a whole bunch. It may be worth $100. And at $100, I'd rather have it as a safety net. Or help a friend out in a pinch. I've done that before too, where somebody broke a phone and didn't have a backup. So I'll look at the price, Steve, but I would imagine a 4-year-old iPhone. I'll look it up on Gazelle right after this. It can't be worth a whole bunch.
Yeah, it's like Tish was saying. If you're going to get $600 back for your old phone, then all you've got to find is $200 or $400. So that's not so bad.
Yeah. So that's how I see it, as being $400 plus tax or whatever. So, you know, I've always taken really good care of my things, and I've always gotten really a good deal from Apple for turning in my previous phone. So I don't really see it as being too much out of my pocket. You know, I always prepare well in advance for these things, knowing that I'm going to have to fork out a certain amount of money from my pocket. So, I mean, it is what it is. So, I mean, I use my iPhone every day. If I don't take my laptop somewhere, I mean, it's like, what can the iPhone not do? I mean, it's basically its own little computer. So I think for me, it's a good investment.
That's true.
Gazelle would give me $130 for my iPhone. At that point, I think I'm better off keeping it. I think it's worth $130 worth of quote unquote insurance to have a backup phone in case something were to have happened.
Yeah. I mean, I've kept my as an HTC. I've kept my HTC Android as a backup just in case. But if I was to get another phone, then I would probably get rid of the HTC. I mean, at which point it would be worth less. But there's no point in having two phones as backup.
Yeah. What I'll probably do. Actually, I won't because I use it.
I'm going to let you guys go.
All right, Tish.
Thanks for the call, Tish. Appreciate it.
Thanks again.
Thanks for calling in, Tish. Nice to hear you.
Bye-bye.
I just, I don't know. It's I mean, John RTP is saying when he bought his first cell phone in 1988, it was $1,200.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, wow. And it wasn't smart either, yeah. That probably took up half your boot as well, or your trunk,
that was
I should imagine.
88. I think he meant to say 1998.
I don't know.
Yeah, probably. 88, they weren't around, were they? It was early 90s they came out.
Right.
I'm an expert in cell phones from that era. I just, part of me looks at that and goes, oh my God, $1,000. That's a lot. And it is. It's a lot of money, but.
Oh, he bought his first cell phone, not his first iPhone. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, the first iPhone didn't come out till
yeah,
about 2007.
They were. I remember them phones with a big thing in the back and a bag phone. And it had a whole bunch of stuff in the trunk. Yep. And you could and you would look for high spots to get up and be able to talk home, because there were no towers.
Yeah, he'd walk into the closest shop and say, "Excuse me, can I use your roof?"
919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And talking about, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No.
I was just gonna say. So we got one person that's in. Tish is in on the new iPhone. If you think it's too much or you don't like the price or whatever, give us the opposite side of it.
Yeah.
So far, I mean, I'm curious on what people think about it.
And talking about iPhones, last month, Apple's VP of iOS, iPad, and iPhone marketing told BuzzFeed that iPhones are, and the quote is, the highest quality and most durable devices. We do this because it's better for the customer, for the iPhone, and for the planet. But in a class action court case over the widespread premature failure of tens of thousands of iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus devices, Apple argues that the company cannot guarantee any iPhones for more than a year. To hold Apple limited warranty simply because plaintiffs expect their iPhones to last the length of their cellular service contracts would place a burden on Apple for which it did not contract. So apparently there were a lot of problems with iPhone 6 and 6 Plus.
You remember when those came out, the bending screen issue that everybody...
Right, but the point here, and I can tell you what the point here is, when they're talking for the length of the contract. Contracts are normally 2 years. People did not pay out of pocket for the phones.
Yeah.
They spread it over 2 years, so they're paying every month. So the phone breaks after a year. What, now you have to buy another phone and pay for two phones? It's kind of like,
absolutely.
Well, that's what people are. We'll see what will come out of this lawsuit, but
I mean, I'll say it again. I talked about it on this show a lot when it happened. Apple replaced my iPhone 6 that was about 2.5 years old.
Yeah.
Because, just because. They had no reason to. It's that support that they gave. I don't know what to say about it.
Well, I'm sure that they go case by case, but obviously, if there's a whole lot of them, it can create a problem, and now there's a class action suit. So we'll see.
Well, it's interesting now because they don't do what they used to do. They don't really give you free iPhones anymore.
No,
like
not
when
now.
I had my iPhone, my iPhone 3G, and my 3GS were both essentially free. They were $199, and you having the contract on the phone, AT&T
that's
would
what
eat the
paid
cost.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it used to be. They don't do that anymore. Because I mean,
come to think of it,
they
Nick,
lose money. Yeah.
When my daughter got her iPhone 7 when it came out, she went to Verizon and she got it, and they just renewed her contract, her part of the contract, and I think it was $20 more a month or something like that.
Yeah, but she's paying for the full. She's paying for the full price of the phone.
She at the end, yeah. I do.
Yes, but what they used to do with with early on with smartphones, AT&T and Verizon would charge you $199 one time, and then you owned the phone as long as you didn't cancel the contract. That's how it used to be.
Okay. Yeah.
That is no longer the
case. It's six of one or half dozen of the other. You pay for it. You pay for
it.
No,
not really, because your bill didn't go up. You paid the service price. It was just they locked you into the contract, but now nobody has contracts.
Oh yeah, it was subsidized. That's right. It was subsidized.
Yeah, they would
by
subsidize
them.
it because you were locked in for 2 years.
Yeah.
So you weren't actually paying. Now, someone could argue that they made the rates higher. That's fine, but they weren't. Your bill did not go up anymore if you got a smartphone or a not smartphone. That was the cost of the service was the cost of the service.
Mm-hmm.
When they stopped doing that, people were just you're forced to either pay again monthly for it, which if your phone breaks, yeah, of course, you're like, what the hell? I'm spending $35 a month on my phone. It doesn't work.
Well, I mean, when I look in our accounts on VerizonWireless.com, we can get new phones for free
all the time.
For free. But yeah, I don't know what they are. I mean, I never paid attention to see what they are because you still pay for it one way or another. I found it a whole lot easier. I can't remember who here on, I think it was, no, I don't know. Somebody here was saying, just go to eBay and look for this and that and that. And I bought a phone for me and a phone for my wife, the same phone, the Galaxy S3. 2-3 years ago, and it's still working. That I have no problem with it.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback on that point, there are a whole. I think personally, in my opinion, with my experience, buying phones outright, either used on eBay or new on eBay, a couple generations old, or even just from it's so much easier than dealing with the carrier, dealing with their nonsense. With the 20, okay, well, if you want, and this is how they get you. It's like, oh, if you want the baseline, it's $20 a month. If you want the better storage or whatever, it's $30. And it's like, well, it's just, it's not good. The whole situation sucks.
But that's the situation.
It is, absolutely.
Yep. Okay, so summer is about over. And we're going to have to start worrying about heating our houses and apartments and offices. So at its Ryzen Pro event in New York City last month, AMD invited a French company called Carnot to discuss how they're using Ryzen Pro processors to heat homes and offices for free. The company uses the Q.Rad, a heater that embeds 3 CPUs as a heat source, to accomplish this feat. We reuse the heat they generate to heat homes and offices for free. The company says in a blog post, QRAD is connected to the internet and receives in real time workloads from our in-house computing platforms. I thought AMD went away from those super hot CPUs.
Clearly, they did not.
Yours was getting real hot. What was the last one you had? There was the 8.
My God, it was AMD FX 8350. The thing would overheat constantly. No matter what I did, the computer would overheat.
They were always
at one point. I had
hot, but
three fans blowing on it. I mean, it was just an awful experience. I will never own an AMD processor as a main system again. I just had such a garbage experience with it.
Did you try water cooling on it?
It was water cooled, and then after that didn't work, I pulled it off and they just did a regular air cool, and that didn't work either. It was just the processor it's an 8-core processor. It was hotter than hell.
Well,
it was awful.
It makes you wonder with a CPU manufacturer that's saying you can heat your house when you run your computer, and while it's on, you can heat your house. What?
Well,
it
really
was generating enough heat.
It was fine heating the house, but not when it was the middle of
summer.
And it was 115 degrees in my room because I wanted to browse the internet. It was terrible. It was terrible.
Yep, I remember your frustrations with it.
Oh God, it's like I literally wouldn't even use the computer. I just turn it off. I just sit there and use my phone. It was real bad.
Yep.
Thanks, AMD. Thanks for nothing.
Those of you that use Google Drive, I guess it's Google Drive, yeah, to back up your phone. It was discovered that Google will automatically schedule to delete your Android device backups if it is inactive for more than 2 months. The issue was discovered by a Reddit user after his Nexus 6P was sent for a refund claim. He was using an old iPhone while he waited for the Android replacement device. When he glanced at his Google Drive backup folder, he freaked out when he noticed his Nexus 6P backup was missing. He then stumbled upon this Google Drive help document regarding backup expiration. It says, your backup will remain as long as you use your device. If you don't use your device for 2 weeks, I would say 2 months, you may see an expiration date below your backup. For instance, expires in 54 days. Once a backup is deleted, there is 0 chance for recovery. So if you're backing up to Google Drive, which is apparently really nice and easy to do,
well, on
back
Android,
it up locally too. Yeah, for the Android.
When you set up a phone, it automatically backs up to Google Drive. It's just part of the built-in OS.
So yeah, you need to somehow back it up locally too, though.
Well, and to their defense, that is not an uncommon practice in backup. I mean, even Carbonite, which I know you use, Amnon, and I use.
Yeah.
If you have a drive disconnected for 30 days, it just deletes all the data because it assumes that you're not going. It assumes you don't have that drive. So it's a pretty common practice in backup.
Yeah. But the thing is, if you don't know about it, I mean, this is how they keep up with the newer stuff, and they remove old stuff that you don't need, apparently.
Yeah,
but the thing is,
still pretty expensive.
With a phone, normally you can take the phone to the store and you say, "Hey, transfer it," or restore it.
That's a good thing. Is with Android, the newest versions of Android and iOS too. With the iCloud backup, you don't even take it to the store. They used to hook it up to those machines that Israeli company made. And now it's just, you just log into your iCloud account. You hook up to Wi-Fi and it just downloads everything for you. It's fantastic.
If it's there.
Yeah. And I'm not a big fan of iCloud. I don't use it for anything else besides backups. But when I was dealing with those iPhone issues, it was fantastic to just, put in my information and the phone would just automatically start installing everything I had on it, which was cool.
Yep. Let's see what else we have here. Those of you that use WordPress, according to Bleeping Computer, a WordPress plugin that goes by the name Display Widgets, remember that, Display Widgets, has been used to install a backdoor on WordPress sites across the internet for the past 2.5 months. If you're using Display Widgets, be aware of this and read more to see what's up with that. You're online. Who's calling?
Gene.
Hey,
how
Gene.
You doing this morning? Hey, I got 3 items for you. Let me get rid of a.
Can you turn them up a little bit, Amnon?
Yep.
Can
Go
you
ahead.
hear me okay?
Hold on, Gene.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
First of all, real quickly, as I'm a Carbonite user, I not only use Carbonite to back up data, but also use their mirror imaging, which is a cloning software. And lo and behold, this week I got an email from them that they're stopping their mirror imaging and they're not going to offer it anymore when your subscription runs out. And so I called them to find out, why are you doing that? I thought mirror imaging was a great thing. You just get yourself a hard drive, external hard drive that's 2 times the size of your computer's internal drive, and set it up and then not have to worry about it. It takes care of it automatically. It does the mirror image on a scheduled basis. And they said something about the fact that they want to concentrate on data more than, the cloud and all that kind of stuff and whatever. But maybe it just wasn't getting enough revenue for them. I don't know. But anyway, I thought that was a surprise, and just dropping it like that and telling you that when your subscription runs out, it's not available anymore. So that's one item. That's Carbonite. The second item was a scam issue that I thought was very interesting. I went out and bought a third Kindle to have a backup Kindle, and the Kindles that my wife and I use are backlit. They have the light, and I ordered one from Amazon Prime, and I thought I was ordering one with a backlight, but apparently I was looking at price, and I got a cheaper one, but it didn't have backlight, so you couldn't read it in the dark. So I thought there was something wrong with the settings, because I kept Googling Paperwhite, which is what I thought I bought, and I didn't. But anyway, and it kept telling me to go find the setting. I couldn't find the setting, so I said, let me call Kindle support and see if I can figure out where I can get this setting from. So I just Googled, and this is the interesting thing. I Googled Kindle support phone number, and the first hit I got was a phone number. And I called that number.
Oh.
And that number basically got me to a guy that sounded like he was from India. And he asked me what I wanted. And I told him, I said, I got a Kindle and I can't find the settings to put the light on. And he said, okay, we can take care of it. And transfer me over to another technician. So he transferred me over to a technician, started to get leery. And I got the other technician on the phone and told him what the story was. And he says, well, I have to get access to your Kindle, so you got a computer nearby and can fit. So I said, yeah, but what are you going to do? He says, well, your Kindle has a virus. I said, my Kindle has a virus, huh? Yeah, and he said, I have to have access to your computer, and I'll fix that virus. And then, because you might have already hooked it up to a computer or whatever device you hooked up to, that has viruses in it now too, so we're gonna have to take care of viruses. So about that time, I said, goodbye, pal.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just hung up on him, and well, he hung up on me rather. When I told him, I said, hey, I know something about computers, and I think you're full of baloney. And he hung up on me. So anyway, I said, I ought to be able to get Kindle support somehow. So I went to the Amazon website and I looked for their support number, and I got a nice young lady on the phone, and she put me over with Real Kindle Support, which is another nice young lady. And I told her the story. He said, it's a scam. It's been going on all over the place.
Yep.
And so she finally told me your problem is you got the wrong model, and so she sent me the right model, and she sent me labels to send the other. Just thought that was interesting. The most interesting part of it was the first hit on Google was a scam number. That
SEO for you.
Huh?
Uh-oh, we're losing you, Gene.
I said the thing that surprised me the most was that the first phone number I got on Google, the first hit, was a scam phone number.
Yeah. This is very, very now to not to make you feel bad, but if you could have gone back and looked at what you typed, you would see that maybe you misspelled something, or you should have looked at the URL that you are going to. Some of these places will actually pay to be up, and Google doesn't differentiate between them. So, but make sure if you're looking for support from ABC, and you don't know the address, and you Google it, make sure that the link you click on is an ABC link. And I don't mean a link that will be abc.scammers.com.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's just that when you're doing something and you're trying to get rid of it quick,
I know.
You don't do all those things.
Right.
You just, there's the number and you call the number.
Those people are out there, and it's our responsibility to decide whether, I'm going to go there, or no, I'm not going to go there. And obviously, after a while that you were talking with them, you realized something was wrong. I wonder how many people didn't do that and allowed them to get in.
That's what I was thinking, and I'm sure there was some.
Yep. Oh, sure. Otherwise, they wouldn't exist.
Right. Okay, third item, and this one's going to make you laugh a little bit, too. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. I got this, trying to take care of all the old computers and everything I got upstairs laying around and that type of thing, and I found this desktop.
Yeah.
And this top CPU, and so I didn't look at it too close. I just said, well, let me plug this in and see what. So I plugged it in, and it is a Windows XP machine, and it didn't have on it. I had basically taken everything off it a long time ago. And so then I said, I wonder what make this is, and I started looking at the front, and guess what label I found? Delta Force. This was the CPU you built for me to give my wife probably 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And it still works.
And I would like it back. He needs a new computer. He needs that computer back for project.
Yeah.
He's building a new system for his office. He needs that back.
Okay. I'll deliver it to your house if you want to have not.
Just, whatever you do, make sure that the hard drive is not in there.
Well, I'll give it to you.
Make sure that you keep the hard drive. I'll give you the hard drive.
All right.
Yeah, well, we need to get. Yeah, don't. Let me take this opportunity to tell people that if they have any piece of hardware like that, don't, please, locally, or even not locally, don't put it in the trash. Find out how to recycle it. People will come over to pick up that kind of stuff, maybe not right away. If you're local and you don't know what to do with it or how to recycle it, give me a call. You can bring it over here. I normally put it right next to the tree at the corner of the lot, and there is somebody who comes in but once or twice a month, and they pick up anything that they can recycle, and they get money for it, and they like we talked for a while in the beginning when he started doing it, and this is part of his income. So it's nice. He takes and he does it the right way. So don't throw stuff in the trash. All right,
And if
Gene.
you are going to leave something out or throw something in the trash, make sure you wipe your data off of it as well.
Oh yeah, always
Destroy
take
the
the
drive.
hard drive out. Always.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Either
Okay,
wipe the
guys.
data
Mike.
or destroy the drive.
Take care, Gene.
Right on.
See you later,
Bye-bye.
What did you say, Steve?
That's either wipe the data or destroy the drive.
Yeah, destroy the
Yeah.
drive is definitely the way to go.
I mean, if it's an old system anyway, it's probably got, I don't know, 250 megabyte hard drive. Just hit it with a brick.
Yeah, you want to make
World
sure
class
that
is my favorite.
you destroy it. Absolutely. Absolutely. 919-518-9773. Computers 2K voice on Skype. Next. What happened to Mike? Mike Phillips.
Well, he posted a note today.
He what?
He sent a message in Skype earlier. You didn't see it?
Oh, I didn't see.
Yeah.
All right.
Nick, what do you think about this new facial recognition to unlock the phone? Do you think that's going to be a problem initially before people sort of get the gist of it?
I've got a couple problems with it. This first one sounds really bad, and that's not my goal. For example, if you're in the car and you need to open up your GPS or something like that, right now, I just move my hand towards my phone, find the home button with my thumb, push it down, and the phone automatically unlocks. Or I just hold the home button down and tell Siri to open the app. That is now going to be impossible to do with the new thing. I'm going to have to now take my eyes off of the road and stare at the phone to open it while I'm in the car.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, they say, oh, well, don't use your phone in the car. That's fantastic. But if you're trying to get somewhere and your phone locks and you need to unlock it, what are you going to do? So that's my big concern. Is using it if for example, what if I'm in a meeting and I have to monitor something that's going on? What if I'm monitoring a developing situation, with work or something like that? Now I can no longer just take my phone under the table, push my finger on it, and then look at what I need. Now I literally have to pick up the phone and stare at it to open it. And I don't think I'm gonna like that. But we'll see. If I'm gonna try it out, I'm gonna go to Raleigh and go to the Apple store and take a look at it. If I don't like the feature, I'm gonna have to get the iPhone 8 because
the other thing as well is, the police aren't supposed to be able to have access to your phone and download the data from it. So what's that going to do if the police get you? All they're going to do is just hold the phone up to your face, and there you go, it'll unlock.
Well, they actually talked about that in their event. They did build that in. If you touch the screen rapidly 5 times, it will not unlock the phone. Yeah,
but if you're going to be given the opportunity to do that, it's like if a mugger comes up and snatches the phone off of you, then, they're just going to point it at your face. Thank you very much. I've got all the information in your phone.
I've got a solution for that, and I guess it'll work. Because you have to train the phone to who you are, right?
Correct.
So what if you pick up the phone and you go, you make a big face in front of it.
Amnon, it doesn't actually look at a picture. It takes a 3D model of your face. It's not just a picture to unlock your phone. So it learns the contour of your face. It doesn't matter what facial. It works with sunglasses. It works with baseball hats.
Oh.
It's doing more than just taking a picture and then unlocking.
Okay, and what happens if you take the picture and you make it a profile? Take the picture from the side, so it's your profile that it's taking.
It's the same way that Touch ID works.
It may reject it. I don't know. Because
this is the same way Touch ID works. When you set up Touch ID on your phone, it asks you to put your thumb or whatever finger on the scanner.
Right.
And then it says, turn your phone upside down and put your thumb on the scanner,
Mm-hmm.
and put half of your thumb on the phone, and you do all these different things where it essentially maps out your finger.
Oh.
So that if so for example, if I can touch, I just touched half of the home button with
Mm-hmm.
my pointer finger on my right hand, and it unlocked.
And it knew who you are. Okay, I see.
For example, here, let me see if I can show this well. So there's the home button.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
half of the home button is still revealed.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's going to create a mask of your face, and
I saw an article where the Chinese companies started selling face masks for people who want to have privacy. I mean, you put it on, but what? Then you have to put it on every time you try to unlock it. I don't know.
It's going to be interesting. The one thing I'm definitely not doing is I'm not buying this phone day one, because I really do want to see how this facial recognition feature works. So
your concern is the ability to unlock it discreetly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the whole point behind Touch ID for me was that I no longer have to, touch a pin on my, and even with the pin system, at least you can kind of feel your way around the phone because you can tell where the home button is. But with this,
So you don't,
of it.
but you don't have any concern about the privacy aspect of the thing. That
my privacy was gone the day I was born. I mean, it's irrelevant. It's too late.
That's true too.
I mean, it's just, if you have any device. Jesus Christ, I'm sitting in front of a webcam right now. I mean, what privacy do I have?
Yeah.
Now, the one thing I will say, and John is asking this now, where will the information be stored? Apple and they do the same thing with the Touch ID. It stores the
information.
Stores the information in an encrypted enclosure that if you restore your phone or something, that information is gone. You have to reload all of that information.
Does it store it on the local phone or on there?
It doesn't store it on the cloud, and it stores it in an encrypted container that if you restore your phone or wipe your phone, you have to redo all your fingerprints. It does not save those. It doesn't back them up. At least that's what Apple says. They could be lying, and if they are, they are. There's nothing really you can do about it. They do have that information encrypted. At least they say they do, in like a secure container that cannot be used. Which is cool.
There was another story about the iPhone, the new iPhone. It says one little detail Apple didn't mention at its event in Cupertino was the fact that the new iPhones will support fast charging.
Yeah.
According to the official tech specs page, the new iPhones can recharge up to 50% of their battery life in 30 minutes charge. 30-minute charge. But there's a catch. You have to use a USB-C charger and lightning cable. So it's a different charger, and it instead of being, I guess, USB to lightning, what is the normal?
No, it just means the lightning brick because it's got more power.
Yeah, the cable that you now charge it with, if it unplugs,
it's still a lightning cable.
Yeah, but what's on the other side? Right
USB.
now, in the USB.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes.
Yes. So it will have to be USB-C, which is the smaller thing. So fast
charging is really freaking cool for anybody that's never used it. I've seen it demoed before. One of my friends has a fast charging phone. It's super cool.
What's cool about it? What do you mean?
I mean, it's just you overslept and you forgot to plug in your phone last night, or you got in late and you were exhausted and you forgot to plug in your phone, and now you have to go to work. You don't have, an hour and a half to let your phone charge.
Mm-hmm.
You can, your phone you can get half battery life, which, will get you through the day, ideally, with just one charge, or with just the fast charging, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll come up with. It seems like I remember buying a charger for our Android. Or maybe it was for.
Oh, and the other thing.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The other thing, too, Tish is bringing up wireless charging, which Apple has never done before. I'm very, very interested in that product as well. I hate plugging in my phone, specifically because I fall asleep listening to podcasts. Every once in a while, I'll forget to plug in my phone. That will be very beneficial.
Well, I mean, it's getting there. For the
it'll be beneficial as long as you've got the wireless charging point on your chest as you're falling asleep.
Yes, exactly.
Otherwise, you fall asleep and it's there on the quilt cover, and you wake up in the morning and you still haven't put it on the charge base or the wireless charging point to charge up. So you're not really any better off, are you?
Well, the good thing is if the charge space is on the table next to the bed, I mean, the headphones typically are long enough to support that. But yes, you did make a good point.
Yeah, and well, what a segue. A lawsuit filed Tuesday in U.S. District Court in Oakland recounts the frustration of 5 plaintiffs who found the Apple's Powerbeats 2 and Powerbeats 3 headphones did not perform as advertised. They're also claiming the company is refusing to honor warranty commitments to repair or replace the failed units. Apple bought those things, about a year or two ago?
Beats?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a little bit longer. Yeah, they've had them for a while.
I haven't heard anything about those wireless earbuds. Anybody has...
the earpods?
Earpods, yeah. Anybody has experience?
I could tell you my buddy Lance, who went to PAX East with us last year, had those, and when I picked him up at the airport, he had them in, and we talked a little bit about it. He's pretty content with them.
He didn't lose any of them, did he?
What?
He didn't lose them.
No, he didn't lose them. They're expensive. The thing I like about it is, I was to buy them, which I won't. The ability that you can just you can have one in and still, keep track of what you're doing. Instead of I don't know. I think they're kind of gimmicky in my opinion.
Let's see what else. Verizon. I mean, there are 2 things here that I marked. Verizon Communications said on Thursday that it has moved on from plans to acquire cable companies and instead will focus on building out its own fiber infrastructure. So you remember a few years ago they said that they're not going to continue rolling out Fios, that wherever it is. But we're not going to go any farther. And apparently they were thinking they can do it better by just acquiring existing cable companies and use their cabling. It's not working out. There are things that they can. Apparently, it's cheaper for them to do it that way, like Nick was talking about yesterday. Hardware compatibility and all these. It's much better.
probably a good idea. It was probably. I think it was a good concept of, all right, we've got to, easier to buy another company and just roll our infrastructure and then start it from scratch. But clearly that has been not the case. I can imagine. I can only imagine how some of these systems run. I'm sure it's a disaster.
The other thing about them is Verizon is disconnecting another 8,500 rural customers from its wireless network, saying that roaming charges have made certain customer accounts unprofitable for the carrier. The 8,500 customers have 19,000 lines and live in 13 states: Alaska, Idaho, Iowa, Indiana, Kentucky, Maine, Michigan, Missouri, Montana, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Utah, and Wisconsin, if you are in one of those. A Verizon Wireless said that a customer said they received notices of disconnections this month, and they will lose access to Verizon service on October 17th. Verizon said in June that it was only disconnecting a small group of customers who were using vast amount of data, some as much as a terabyte or more a month, outside of our network footprint. Now, that would cost them a bunch. I agree. But one customer who contacted ours this week about being disconnected said her family never used more than 50 gig of data across 4 lines despite having an unlimited data plan. So the author said, we asked Verizon whether 50 gig a month is a normal cutoff point in its disconnections of rural customers, but the company did not provide a specific answer. These customers live outside of areas where Verizon operates our own network. Many of the affected consumers' lines use a substantial amount of data while roaming on other providers. And the roaming costs generated by these lines exceed what these consumers pay us each month. Why did they sell in these areas? I mean, come on.
Well, they do because they have agreements with whoever owns the tower to provide the data. I mean, that's the thing, is these people aren't out of luck. I mean, they just need to find the provider that is servicing the area. But, while I would imagine if I was one of those customers, I'd be quite PO'd.
Of course. But you can...
Fortunately and unfortunately, I mean, that's capitalism. They're not making money. Roaming is very expensive to provide.
You cannot blame them for trying to be profitable. But I would think that they would give them some options. I mean, to use a terabyte, you have to have your phone.
50 gigs of data on Verizon's network versus 50 gigs on somebody else's network that Verizon has to roam.
Yeah,
is expensive.
It's a big. I know. I am not arguing that for a second. All I'm saying is that 50 gig, to use 50 gig, that you're using a lot of data. But if you don't have other provider in the area and your phone is the only means to get out, then you do everything on the phones. And here's 8,500, but they have 19,000, so it's 2 point some lines per family or per person. Maybe they need to come up with instead of disconnecting them, say, okay, you know what, guys? You can have 10 gig, and after that, it's going to cost you that much. And let the people go and find out instead of saying, okay, we're just going to disconnect you. Bang, that's it. I don't know.
I'm sure they've told these people that they can find service through another provider in the air. I mean, Verizon knows who they're. It's probably a Sprint or an AT&T tower.
Sure.
But I mean, I don't know. You made the good point. Why would they sell them the service in the first place?
Yeah, why sell it in a place that you have to pay extra?
And I think that's ridiculous. I mean, there's just no reason to sell the service if they're not going to maintain it.
Absolutely.
I mean, roaming is a pain. And I find it crazy that there's all those people that live in areas that are not covered by cell service.
And going back,
there's that stretch of
what?
Sorry.
That what? Stretch
I said there's a stretch of I-40 between Wilmington and Raleigh where there's no cell service. And I find that to be crazy.
On Verizon.
On AT&T.
On AT&T. I mean,
and I think on Verizon as well. There's just a strip of I-40. It's not very far. It may be a mile, maybe a mile and a half, but it's enough that if you're streaming something live, your device doesn't have enough buffer to continue the live stream.
Or if you happen to get stuck right there, and you're trying to call for help.
The good thing is you'd be able to walk a little bit and get.
Yeah, but you don't know that in another 200 feet you're going to have it. So you figure, no, I'm in the middle of nowhere. I don't have it. Yeah.
But I mean, that's a pretty heavily traveled road. I mean, it's Interstate I-40. I mean, so it goes from the East Coast to the West Coast. So
going back to iPhone, a set of just posted Geekbench scores reinforces the notion that just prior to Apple announcing its newest iPhone models, Geekbench database was updated with a new entry for the iPhone X5, which we assume to be the iPhone X. Based on the scores recorded, in this one benchmark at least, the A11 CPU powering the iPhone X appears to be 50 to 70% faster than any Android handset on the market currently, even those powered by the new Qualcomm Snapdragon 835. 50 to 70% faster. So Nick and me were talking about it yesterday, and I'm saying this must be measured in milliseconds to see how long. And 70 milliseconds longer, you can hardly notice. But Nick was saying, if it takes longer to unlock the phone, it can be problematic. It'll be interesting to see when the phone actually comes out how it performs compared. iPhones were always faster than Androids. Apple Mac computers were always faster with lower megahertz or gigahertz from day one. They were always faster because of the operating system and the way that they are built.
Optimized is the word.
The what?
Optimized.
And they could optimize them because the software was written in a certain way, and all those people wrote it in a certain way. It's not like the PC that you have to cater to every whim of a programmer across the world. So, but it'll be interesting. I mean, 50 to 70% faster sounds like wow. And think about it. If it's in seconds, it's like a minute. This is what I'm saying. It can't be a minute difference. So this is it'll be interesting to find out after they come out. But some bad news for Apple too. After 3 years of Apple products, Target is moving to Android devices for stocking, pulling items, and other essential sales floor duties. Target first outfitted its employees with Apple products in 2014. So they're going to Androids. And it's not just Target. Marshall, my friend Marshall with Snoozies, did that for their floor operations in shows and everything. This is how I got my wife an iPad. It's one of the ones that they were using, and it was the system as a whole, not the iPad was slow. The system as a whole, where it talks back and forth to the iPad, was slow. And with the Android, apparently there are newer pieces of software that works faster. And it's cheaper too. So you can't blame them, right?
No, of course not.
Yep.
Sure, and they'll get a sweetheart deal from somebody that wants to jump into that marketplace. I think it's good.
Well, but that's the thing is when, again, it's a catch-22. The reason why the Mac doesn't have more market share is because not many people are writing programs for it. With a PC, there's a whole, I mean, you know, if you want to make money, you write something for the PC to sell it and it's worth it, people will buy it. Because you are catering to a lot more people at a time. So if only a certain percent buys, it's a big number. So it's the same thing here. It's, you know, to write a piece of software like that for the floor, it's not a easy task, and it's going to cost a lot and all that. So people don't go for it. But people with Android, you know, it's probably easier and cheaper, and say, okay, yeah, but we have a big market, let's do it, and they come out ahead. So
there you go.
Okay, so this is something a little bit out of what I understand, but I think Nick and you guys, Steve and Jorvik, may understand better. When MetaKettle repository ended, the developer deleted its entry on GitHub. What is GitHub?
GitHub is I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know exactly how I'd classify it.
Is it a pirating thing?
No, it's a repository, and what a lot of open source developers do is they put their projects on GitHub so that people can download the source code and modify it. It's a repository for open source software, essentially.
So they say this in itself is not a cause for concern. But unfortunately, GitHub's allowance of project names to be recycled is. Someone re-registered the MetaKettle name, making it possible for nefarious people to potentially serve up malware to Kodi users. And I remember we talked about Kodi once, but I don't remember what it was. It's something that where you watch TV or something.
It's like Plex, sort of, except it doesn't run. You don't run a local server. You can stream content from online.
Okay.
So the big problem here is Amnon. So what happens is you'll go on a forum and you'll say, open source, whatever software, open source shopping cart software.
Okay.
And you may find a GitHub repository that for example, Sean has made that is open source cart software. Now, let's say Sean, decides that, hey, I'm no longer interested in the project and I can't find somebody to take over the project. Okay. He may delete the repository, which means now that would be a dead link. But GitHub is allowing people to re-register the same repository. So now you may go back and you may find that forum post 5 years later that says, hey, this is developed by Sean.
Yeah.
And then you go there and it's some jackass that has re-registered the repository and is now providing malware on it.
Yeah.
It's like when you go to a website and they the best
if somebody else gets it, yeah.
The best websites for this, and half of those websites have been expired, and then now somebody has purchased them and is now providing malware on them. But GitHub should not be allowing people to do that. I mean, that's a huge flaw in their system.
Right.
Because you've got forum posts and links to stuff that are old that people now don't have, that people are now getting links to these things, and it could be potentially malware or a virus or something like that.
So they're saying if you still have the repository installed, you should remove it immediately. Not to mention, if you know someone using Kodi, such as a friend or family member, you should warn them too. There's probably information out there on the net, but if you know somebody, you need to let them know about this Meta Kettle.
Yeah, and that's just a third-party app that there's an add-on that somebody has made for Kodi to provide some service. But now the problem is now GitHub has made it available so that somebody has essentially hijacked that name because the original author has decided to let the project lapse. Right. And that's a huge flaw on GitHub's part. They should not have allowed that.
And let's see what else here. Oh, so now talking about streaming of TV. A new report by eMarketer predicts that 22.2 million U.S. adults will have cut the cord on cable, satellite, or telco TV service by the end of 2017, which is up 33% over 2016. It also notes that ad investments will expand just 0.5% to $71.65 billion this year, down from $72.72 billion predicted by the company's original first quarter forecast for 2017. So companies are, I mean, everybody is losing other than the consumer. But those advertisers should find their way to support the cord cutter services, because that's where they're going to get more return for their ads. The people are there. The same amount of people are watching TV, only they're doing it on different services. And if they don't support these services will go out. So it's a sort of like a delicate mechanism there, but someone needs to come up and say, okay, here, we will take that stuff and put it at the right places where cord cutters are going to.
But that's my question. Where are these people going to?
Oh, they go to Sling. They go to just do it manually to different. I mean, HBO now has their own thing.
HBO doesn't have ads. Netflix doesn't have ads. Amazon doesn't have ads. That's what where are these people? Where are these people going to spend their money? Sling, while it doesn't have ads, it has commercials. But those are the same network commercials that are running on every place else. So
I don't know. I didn't cut the cord, so I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm curious about. Is where can these advertisers? Where are these people going to spend their money? I cut the cord and say I'm going to watch Amazon and Netflix. Mm-hmm. How are you going to advertise to me?
Good question. I don't know.
Netflix doesn't provide that. I mean, you can still provide over the air. I guess the answer would be advertise on ABC and NBC and CBS, because people still watch over the air or over the antenna, I should say.
Yeah, people are not going to cut that back.
Well, no, I mean, if you want to watch any type of live news from your local area or sporting events, you have to have an over-the-air antenna.
And talk about over-the-air. When our cable went down one Friday evening, I went ahead and I put the rabbit ears the old style rabbit ears on the TV, and you could get some of the local stations, which was fine, you know. But then I said, you know, I really need to get an HD antenna. So I started looking, and I found one that was, I believe, was $7 from China. It's a little thing. It's maybe about 8 inches tall and about maybe 2 inches wide on a suction cup. So, you know, I'll just give it a try. Guess what? It came and it works unbelievable. It is unbelievable. The clarity, and there were more stations for $7.
Well, but see, the thing is, people don't know that. So,
I know. That's what I'm talking about.
That's why they don't get cable, and they don't know what the hell to do.
Right. No. That's why I'm talking about it now, because it is it works. You can put the old rabbit ears connected to where the cable goes into the TV, but it's not as good. There's a lot of pixelation every now and then, and you have to keep on moving it around and stand at a certain position. This thing, I put it behind the TV on the shelf, and it works. Now, yes, I did have for a couple of stations, I had to turn it a little bit, and it has it turns, and it comes in clear as a bell. I mean, beautiful. So it's always a good thing to have one of these things on hand for the time when your cable goes down and you don't have internet either, and you want to watch TV. Yeah, you can listen to the radio and get local information.
Please listen to the radio.
The what?
The radio.
Well, I mean, radio works for those occasions where if it's an emergency, like, you know, storm or whatever, and you want to get information, it works. Because the radio stations, most of the radio stations, stay up.
Absolutely, that's all we do. Stay up.
Yep. So a cheap antenna would work just great for what you need to do.
Yep. I've got I have my antenna set up. I'm not using it right now because I got a cable box. But
what, you have an HD antenna or just the old rabbit ears?
I have both. They both work similar.
Yep.
There's not a whole. I would imagine in Raleigh there's probably a plethora of channels. You probably get like 40 channels over the air. It's pretty limited down here. There's maybe, and I say limited, and some may say, well, it's not limited, but I mean, there's maybe 12 channels, maybe 15.
Yeah, and you can actually buy. Those of us that are old enough remember having a TV up on the chimney or on the roof with a rotor, and you could turn it from inside and get the stations. You can buy the same setup for HD with a rotor and everything.
Yeah.
And it's only about $20. I mean, the other one was hundreds. This one, you know, you buy it and it's like $20. You put it up on the roof and you can actually from inside dial it and it works.
I think if you live in a little bit more of a remote area, when you need that directional ability, that's probably the way to go. But like, I'm gonna imagine you, Amnon. I mean, how many? You probably got a whole bunch of channels.
I didn't count. I don't know that there are 40, but I didn't count. There's a bunch. Yeah.
The other thing to do too is, did you do this? You did a scan too, right, with the antenna? Yeah. And that's what you have to do as well. But it's fantastic. There's a whole bunch of cool stuff on there. Especially there's a lot of older shows on there.
Mm-hmm.
Like old reruns of shows which don't really appeal to me, but I would imagine appeal to some older people that want to watch those.
So Nick, you want to talk about GAB? You want to practice?
Yeah. No, I don't want. Actually, no. You know, I don't want to talk about it.
All right.
I will talk. I'll comment on it, but I don't want to bring it. I don't want to.
So the social media site GAB.ai is accusing Google of violating federal antitrust laws when the tech giant booted GAB from the Google Play Store, according to lawsuit filed this week. The legal action is the latest salvo in an escalating battle between right-leaning technologists and leaders against Silicon Valley giants such as Facebook and Google. GAB alleges in the lawsuit that Google deprives competitors on a discriminatory basis the access to the App Store, which an essential facility of resources. It is. I mean, apparently, I don't know. Apparently, everybody wants to go and get it from the App Store.
Well, yeah, of course. You have no choice but to get it from the App Store.
Google is...
Go
ahead.
On Android, you can, in fact, download the APK, but people don't do that. I mean, that you have to be...
I mean, we have our apps right here in the menu to download.
Yes, correct. You can do that, but you have to remember most people won't know how to do that. You have to turn the untrusted sources on. There's a whole bunch of things.
Okay. Google is the biggest threat to the free flow of information, said Andrew Torba, the chief executive of GAB. GAB started to fight against the big tech companies in the marketplace, and their monopolistic conduct has forced us to bring the fight to the courtroom. So GAB started when a lot of right-leaning or conservative people were booted or deleted or whatever from Twitter. And they came up with that. They developed it and everything, and it said everybody can post here. It turned out to be right-leaning because the left has Twitter. So
and every other website and social media outlet.
Say again?
And every other social media outlet.
Yeah. So now they're blaming them for being right-leaning and alt-right and all that. I mean, it's the only place that the right can go in and use. So it became such by default. It's not, but to boot it from, what happened to free speech? I don't know. It's.
But here's my thing. And while I of course support the concept of GAB and support the network, I also support Google's right to not allow the app in their store. I mean, no reason does Google have to allow this app. And I don't want them I don't want them to be forced to allow it either. It's their app store. It's their platform. They can do whatever they damn well please.
Yeah, it's true. It's not your right to be on it.
No, of course not. And if Google decides that they don't want that kind of stuff in their store, while that does suck, I agree, and I don't agree with it. You have to support Google's right to do that.
Yeah, just as long as people know how Google is leaning.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's no surprise.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't see. I understand Andrew's point and I understand Gab's point with wanting to take them to court, but
well, I'd say that'll give Gab more publicity.
Yeah, it will definitely give them some more publicity. Yeah. I don't see it going anywhere. First of all, you're not going to take down Google.
No.
But again, I completely support Google's right to do that.
And you can probably hear a little bit more about this tonight on Nick's.
Absolutely.
On Nick's,
hopefully.
Huh?
You will absolutely hear more about this tonight.
Yep. All right, it's this time of day again, guys. We didn't hear much from Stephen Jorvik.
Not a great deal, no. I need to shoot off, so I'll say goodbye now to everybody. Hope you have a good week.
Talk to you next week.
And look forward to speaking at you next week.
Yep. Jorvik?
Yeah, not much to say, unfortunately.
Yeah, like you said in the beginning, there wasn't much going other than the...
Yeah.
All right, so thanks, Steve, Nick, Jorvik. But that's it for today. Also, say again?
Back next week.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Here again.
Good morning to Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. While you're at it, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget, tonight at 7, Nick hosts Against the Norm on Wilmington's Big Talker 106.7. Listen to it on tuning. Bye, everybody.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.